Gambians and non-Gambians so declare their assets. These include the former vice president, former cabinet ministers, and the former governors of central bank and former members of the Gambia Armed Forces. And the commission asked 67 to declare their assets. The standard has sourced a document titled List of Persons to be issued the assets declaration from the Janneh Commission. And the list has been making around since the weekend and contain the names of 67 people. Like I said, this includes security personnel, former and those serving in the military, and protocol officers in the former regime, and even the current chief of protocol. And that a Gambian soldier also died in South Sudan in a peacekeeping mission. I try my best to stabilize the system under Janneh. Julia Jaina told the Janneh Commission, hate speech must be killed before it kills people. That was a statement made by Dr. Kwasi Jona at the Institute of Democratic Governance in Ghana. He told West African parliamentary journalists in Accra recently. And the court visited the grave of Solo Sandeng, and the Gambian appoint a Belgium coach. And in the sports, from the Standard newspaper, the police submitted GFF tax fraud report to the AD chambers and the National Assembly. The Voice newspaper is reporting, like we had a DA Jow here yesterday, the DA take on the proposed Banjul-Bara bridge. President Barrow made a pledge that he's going to build a bridge between Banjul and Bara, and it will start in 2019. The work will take up to 4 years. Gambian in a debt trap. Honorable Toure, the National Assembly member for Woolly, said Gambia is in a debt trap. And VP Dabo meets Indonesian Vice President and OIC members. That is the Vice President Usainu Dabo meeting the Indonesian Vice President on the OIC matters. The farmers renew concerns, and the new Agric Minister also responded to their concerns, and Sanyang community applaud the temporal closure of fish meal factory. You may remember the Director of Press and Public Relations at the Office of the President in the last press conference said they have closed down 2 million factories in that part of the country. Former president involved in discussion for supply of generator to NAWEC, Julia Joyner, told the Janneh Commission. Gambia Press Union Secretary General also said, our democracy is at stake. You may remember the former Agriculture Minister, Sue Kerfatu, an online media platform. They published a story about him which did not go down well, and the minister said it's a defamation. The case came yesterday at the High Court in Banjul. And the former Secretary General says her redeployment was tantamount to demotion. ECOWAS and UN pledged to support Gambia's development blueprint. APRC executive Ajamat Foundation also met President Barrow. So the Foroya newspaper, well, that's all we have for the papers today. And in the studios, like I said in my introduction, I have with me here Haruna Drame, the Chief Executive Officer of Paradise TV, Paradise FM, Mediamatic. Yeah, a man of many trades.
It's the same trade, it's still journalism, it's still media. It's mostly lateral move.
All right, President Barrow said media will never be silenced again in his tour. He said this during the tour. But before going further, how will you assess media freedom under President Adama Barrow's government?
I don't know, Omar. This is, I hear from many quarters people saying Gambia and journalists should be grateful to the president for giving us media freedom and press freedom and freedom of speech. I have a lot of respect for the president. Of course, he's my head of state. But I cannot disagree with this statement more, and I cannot even emphasize more how I disagree with this. Here is why. I think every Gambian has contributed to the prevailing environment and circumstance that we have. I think every Gambian made a conscious decision to say what we have in this country is not acceptable, that we as Gambians as a collective deserve more and demand more, hence the change. So the freedom that Gambia is enjoying now is fought by every Gambian, including us in the media.
So put quite simply, nobody did favor for anybody.
we did the favor for ourselves. It was not the government that came and said, okay, we'll give you freedom of expression today. We demanded freedom of expression, and we fought for it. We voted against what was, to be able to usher in a new establishment that will guarantee us the respect, the dignity that we deserve as sovereign citizens of a state called the Gambia.
I'm sure you may hear this sometimes. People will say, this is not what we voted for. Yeah. This is not what the change we yearn for. So, but when you ask them, they will say, well, I did this, but I did not get this. So what do you make of those kind of comments from people?
I think we should all have been selfless in our determination for the change, and the change should have been for the overall welfare of every Gambian, and not looked at from an individualistic point of view of the individual gains that any particular person would have wanted to have. I think we fought for freedom and freedom for all, and we've achieved that to an extent. So everybody should be happy with the status quo.
You may remember Jammeh once said, he said, do not buy newspapers so that journalists can starve to death because they are the illegitimate sons of Africa. But now this president is saying he has challenged the Gambian journalists to foster transparency in government by reporting on activities as much as possible. So, what should the journalists, is it a big task or is it just a normal pronouncement?
I think politicians will always be politicians, and in the game of politics, we've seen that politics in Africa is all about promises, promises, promises. Sometimes promises that are not even tenable will be promised to the voters so that we can get their votes and their support in return. But what I see that is happening currently is that, yes, true, media reporters can now make reports and go home and sleep, and nobody will be going to mile 2. That's an achievement in itself. But that I think this government still has a lot more to do, because all of those laws that make our work challenging and difficult still exist in our books. And it's about time that those laws go away. So if I would challenge my president today, I would say, Your Excellency, for me to believe what you're saying, let us do away with all of those draconian laws that are holding us back as a community, as a society, and as reporters, as media personnel, as journalists. That's where it starts. If my president gives me that, I will clap for him and I will say, yes, he's indeed giving us media freedom. Until then, whatever he says, I'm going to look at it and say, okay, another politician makes another promise.
So, as far as we are concerned, this is just a mere pronounced or challenging journalists, but the most important thing is not addressed, that is the media laws in place.
Yes. I mean, the laws is what makes a society. Let us do away with those laws. When the laws go away, we will know that our president is indeed very serious and our government is indeed very serious about media freedom. Until then, really, they don't have much to tell us.
Another issue has to do with the journalists themselves in the country. They said most of us, they lack the necessary training. Like the time Jammeh was, he said they put in place those things to guide us because most of us do not master the craft. So now that we have seen the proliferation of media, you have your television, several other people got theirs. We have seen radio stations, Fatu Network and several others are operating. What is expected of Gambian journalists now?
I think there was a deliberate act on the part of the government that was here, that journalists will not get the necessary help, the necessary training. And yes, we did have the radio stations, but the radio stations were by and large DJs playing bala or playing reggae all day, every day. So our young people did not have the time and have the hope or even the belief that media could be a profitable venture, could be a profession that they could engage themselves into. So a lot of our young people were not taking it seriously and pursuing it to academic greatness. Now that we have the School of Journalism as part of the University of the Gambia, and the Gambia Press Union is doing a lot of training. I've had a few of my staff that are going through this 6 months training. You can see that we're grooming our young people to now embrace media as career, as a way of life. But the Rome wasn't built in a day. This is a process. We're in the process of building our young people in capacity, in capability, so that they can compete with the rest of the world when it comes to ethics of the profession, when it comes to investigative journalism, when it comes to awareness, exposure, education. But again, it wasn't going to happen overnight. We know what being a journalist meant a few years ago. So our young people did not have the hope or the belief that this could be a lucrative employment opportunity. So it is starting now, and I'm glad the university is pushing people like yourself that have gone through the School of Journalism that are now emerging. Another year, 2, 3, we will see a new breed of journalists and reporters that could stand any international standards. But it's a process. We have to begin somewhere.
Let's put journalism aside now. Let's talk about some of the things on the, for example, on the Standard newspaper, we have seen 67 Gambians. 67 people, including Gambians and non-Gambians.
Yeah.
The Ghana Commission asked them to declare their assets. But Barrow's appointment of Mamboure Njai, many people say, is really undermined the commission, because the commission was set up to look at Jammeh's and his close associates of financial dealings. And now he was appointed as Minister of Finance, and this thing came up. What do you make of this revelation or commission saying people should declare their assets?
I think asset declarations, the Gambia has been behind. I think they should have even made these assets made public by the current government itself. It would have given a very positive goodwill to all of us if the declaration by the President and the current cabinet is made public, so that the whole world and every Gambian would know the possessions of each of these individuals that we have serving in our government in the first instance, and it be made public. And because it will serve as a very good beginning for checks and balances, and to make sure that our politicians are not in government enriching themselves at our expense. This is a good start. Now, the appointment of Mamboure as Minister of Finance, I don't know what the President was thinking. He probably was looking at a point of view of capability and wanted to bring a person who knows the ministry, who has served there before, who has capability, who is educated, who has exposure, who has global contacts. Probably this is what the President was looking at, hence he's coming into this new cabinet. That is the interesting thing about the Gambian constitution is the President doesn't owe anybody an explanation of why he would appoint a person or why he would sack a person. So he has, like in the words of Jammeh, 2 million Gambians to choose from, and Mamboure happens to be a lucky one to be chosen from. Now, is there a contradiction between the commission that is set up and the existing appointment? Now, that's a very interesting point for somebody to look at. I'm not a legal mind, but I see that it's very interesting. Should the commission now come with its finding and recommending that Mr. Njai himself has been found wanting in the way that he handled public office in the former regime, how will the President then react to those findings at that point? That will be very interesting to find out.
Now, another thing is the Banjul-Bara Bridge.
Interesting one.
You know, if you live in East Africa, you live in East Africa.
I don't live in East Africa. Okay. Well, I do, yes.
You have been in East Africa.
Yes.
We had Lake Tanganyika, Lake Victoria, and even Uganda and Kenya. We are fighting because of Migingo Island, where you have a lot of fish.
Yeah.
Last time I had President Museveni saying, because there was push and pull between these two countries, who owns Migingo Island. Museveni said, the island belongs to Kenya, but the water that flows is from Uganda. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, they can stop their water flowing.
We have the Bakassi Peninsula also between Nigeria and... But on a more serious note, what do you make of President's promise that he is going to build a bridge between Banjul and Bara?
You know, where I started is politicians and promises. I think Bara, as close as it is to Banjul, is one of the most underdeveloped places in Gambia if you look at its proximity to the capital city. Yeah. And Bara is one of those places that deserves every development and every opportunity that can come its way. Bridging Banjul-Bara, I don't know how that is going to work, given also that the ferry terminal and the ports of the Gambia are that proximity. Are we going to build a bridge that's going to start perhaps from Wafinjago, that's going to make a U-turn and then go to Bara? Or are we going to build a bridge that's going to be opening up from the current terminal to the other terminal in Bara, and then when the big vessels are crossing, then it will open up? Now, given the current state of affairs with our electric situation and my lack of trust and confidence in NAWEC, the opening up bridge will be very challenging. My fear is that it will open up one day and it cannot close back again. Or it will close and never open again.
So if you have to go for it, it may be like, you must check, like you said, the Wapunjago, in the event that there's power outage or so.
I don't know. I mean, this is very technical and sophisticated things, but I think Barra does deserve it. I think the Banjul-Barra crossing should be one of the major priorities for any government in this country, because it's connecting Gambia and Senegal, and it's connecting the North Bank with the rest of the country. It's really important. What I thought would have been more practical would have perhaps been a tunnel. But hey, what do I know?
So, let's come back to the press freedom again. Like I said, like we always said, nobody did favor for anybody. But I have to take you back to this question again. How would you assess the press freedom under the current government again?
I think one of the things that we can look at now is OJ versus Fatu. I think that's an affront to all of us in media. I think journalists, even when they have a certain hunch, should be able to inform the public about it. I think what the Honorable Omar Jallo had done is to scare us in the media space. To say, because $20 million, come on, you can sell Fatu and everything she owns is not up to 20 million. Right. So where's the 20 million going to come from? But looking at it, I think when the Honorable Omar Jallo came out to deny the allegations, that was more than enough. I don't think they should have pursued it this far. So it's challenging the freedom that we're enjoying in the media space. And that, I think, is going to now start to create other opportunities by other public officials to scare the rest of the reporters. So we will be scared to report certain facts, even if there were secret investigations that you find an answer for, to put it out there in public. Because what Mr. Jallo is asking for and what the journalists have reported, there is not a big difference. The fertilizer, where is it?
Yeah.
Where is the fertilizer? It doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
So where is it? Now, whether it was Mr. Jallo that sold it, whether it was the government that sold it, whether it was the ministry that sold it, whether it was a private businessman that sold it, it's sold, isn't it?
The case is already in court, but imagine you were in OJ's shoes. What would you do?
I will find every opportunity to clear my name, including in going to alternative media and challenging Fatu to bring proof in the media landscape. And then this will be a battle of the medias and press freedom and expression itself from every angle of the media fraternity, and let the truth prevail. It doesn't have to go to court.
He was sitting in the right chair you're sitting now. I asked him, you sue these people because you want to clear your name.
Yes.
In the event that the court declare or dismiss the case and say that you don't have any case against them, he said, well, I'm fine with that, but as far as I know, I will take them to court. So you said it's going to scare you, but should this be a scare journalists not to carry on with their investigation and so on? Either it's Fatu or any other thing, whoever has come across something and want to put it in public.
Well, you will be afraid for this, but we have to also understand that Mr. OJ himself have been a very, very big advocate of freedom of expression. As far as we know, he's one of our heroes in the last 22 years who dare say things that other people cannot say, who dare challenge Jammeh and challenge other people. And as bad as we may paint Jammeh to be, he never took OJ to court. So I think it's a little bit too far. I think he shouldn't go to court. This is my personal opinion.
Let's move on before they come for us for court contempt. Well, we'll take a short break. I will have a viewers queue with Mariam Cisse. When we come back, we continue with the program.
Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome back to Viewers Deep with Mariam Cisse. Earlier on today, Keba Marina tweeted and he said, am I the only one who thinks that all this talking about the bridge should be a toll bridge and will bring revenue, is ignoring the fact that the people of North Bank are equally citizens of the country and who pay taxes and should not pay to access the South Bank. On the other hand, the Gambia Red Cross also posted on Twitter and they said, Youth Commission is thrilled to partner with Yip Gambia at IMO Gambia in implementing its 10th International Bantaba. Kainako editor also posted on Twitter, and they said, Meet the Farmer store should be a change from the campaign style to Tahau Bantaba meeting to hear farmer's problem, hashtag real change. CNN breaking news also posted, and they said President Trump says he misspoke during the news conference, and he meant to say, I don't see any reasons why it would not be Russia behind election midland. On the other hand, on Facebook State, House of the Gambia posted, and they said, Health Minister unveils Marshall Plan for Gambia Health Care. Central Badibu Dr. Aissatou Touré, Minister of Health and Social Welfare, told the people of Lower and Central Badibus in Karawan and Jambakunda, respectively, that the Barrow government has a comprehensive long-term solution to struggle state of health in some parts of the country. Thank you very much, lovely viewers, for watching. Once again, this is Viewers with Mariam Cisse, and don't forget to like us on Facebook with the same.
Welcome back after that Viewers Cube with Mariam Cisse. I am Omar Wali, and I'm here with Haruna Dramé, the Chief Executive Officer of Paradise TV, Paradise FM, Media Matic. Well, let's talk about another burning issue now. Quite often you see people say some of our journalists are political. Do you see the same? Like when some of our journalists open their mouth or when they write on Facebook, you automatically know where they are coming from. They belong to a political party. How do you think? Okay, let's comment on that. Let's discuss on that one first.
It's unethical, but it exists.
It exists.
Yes.
Do you have the same problem at Paradise?
Everywhere. Everywhere you get reporters that are sympathetic to a certain cause. Okay. It's very unethical, it's very unprofessional, I would say. Yes, but it does exist. I mean, certain commentary you hear on every media, including mine, you hear commentary, you know exactly where it's coming from.
You are somebody who has been monkey danced by Ajame. Is that true? Absolute true. So if somebody at Paradise doing that thing, I know.
No, I don't understand what you mean monkey dance.
Ajame will tell you, come on, monkey dance here.
I have not done monkey dance for Jammeh before.
Okay,
I did press up a couple of times. Okay. But I never did monkey dance.
Okay, now
but it's jovial also.
Yeah, jovial. Okay, you will not do, ask anybody to do press up. But what do you think is the best way to cope that situation so that people can have that confidence? Although you might have your affiliation, but that will not interfere with your job. You have been in the media for a very long time.
I think one of the biggest problems we have in this country is the size of the country itself. The country is very small, and by default, everybody knows everybody. So people get to be very sensitive about issues because it's your cousin, it's your brother, it's your sister, it's your auntie, it's your uncle that is involved, and then we tend to be very sentimental because Gambia is a very close-knit society, so therefore we value our relationship with our family, with our elders, with our community, and it becomes very sensitive. So it's going to be very difficult to divorce that sensitivity of Gambians and the way they relate with issues to the way they deal with their jobs and their professionalism. Like I said before, it's unethical, it's unprofessional, but then you find it. I think journalists should always be able to bear neutrality and be able to say things without fear or favor, affection or ill will.
You started a long way. You have come a long way. But if you talk to some people, they will say journalism is a last resort. We have seen you, we have seen other people, the Lamin Mangas and others, Peter Gomez and others. At least despite the condition, you put up something, you create employment for people. What will you tell to those who want to join but they were skeptical and said, this is not the best place for people to be? Because of, at the time they were complaining about the environment, but others also said, it is not a very lucrative market.
I think it's like being a teacher.
Okay.
And then saying teaching doesn't pay and therefore I will not be a teacher. I think to be a journalist, the first thing you have to do is to have love for your community, for your society, for your audience, and therefore be willing to teach them, to educate them, to inform them about the happenings of their environment. That first is the first love you need to have for this job. Once you have that, and then you come up with the understanding that this is not those jobs that pay well.
Well, I know one journalist in Lester Holt. He's got a lot of money, over $1 million.
Yeah, but you will know 1 million other journalists that are as poor as they get.
Well, yeah.
So then you have the lucky ones, the Amampos and the Jeff Koinanges. You have a few in every society that's doing well. I mean, even in your case, Some people will look at you and say, whoa, Omar is so rich. Look at him on the big network. Yes, you get those ones. Celebrity reporters, celebrity journalists who make a lot of money, but it doesn't necessarily mean overall as a profession it pays well. It doesn't.
It's not that much lucrative.
No. But driven by love, by passion, you can do anything.
Okay, and now moving on, how do you think our guys also should hold government accountable? Because, like Barrow said here, journalists to foster transparency and reporting to activities such as the national development plans. But what should some of us journalists who are not grounded, how can you hold Haruna Drame accountable when you don't know what Haruna Drame is doing? I don't know if you understand my question. Most of us do not have that knowledge, experience, and so on. So those who lack those things, what do you think should be the best thing for them?
I think the first thing is that's what investigative journalism comes into play. You don't have to be informed. I think our journalists and reporters must desist from reporting from workshops and seminars every day. That tends to be the order of the day. You look, you watch GRTS, you watch other media, all you see, the president has incorporated this, or there's a training workshop on FGM here, or there's a seminar on that there. That is, I don't find that to be journalism at all. I think we should be investigative. We should now start to dig the things that government itself doesn't want us to know about. We know about them and we expose them. At the end of the day, this is our country. They are there to serve us.
Yes.
Let us not forget that. So it is the job of every journalist to now have tentacles to fly. Now that the president himself is celebrating our freedom as his achievement, it's an opportunity for us to push the envelope, challenge the government, challenge the status quo, and reveal things as we know them. This is why I'm totally against the OJK Fatu case.
Okay, another problem we have here, which when you talk about press freedom, they will say the laws are in place, the government did not change. But personally, this is my own thing, my take, because I know how some journalists are in this country. I always talk to my colleague. I said, well, we have a problem, the laws are in place, but we also have a problem with some of the media chiefs, the way journalists are being treated. So what do you have for your colleagues in the media, especially those media chiefs that we have journalists working on them and they are not even looking for their, or taking care of their needs and situations?
What are their needs in this case?
Well, we have seen some of them will work for several years and so on, and even when they run into trouble, you see, we have seen, I don't need to mention him, the media chief, some will pull out. We will have this locker room talk outside, but they will pull out and just say it is the journalist's responsibility.
I think this is why I have to really emphasize on Ker Fatu and Fatu Toure taking the bold step to take responsibility. The story on OJ wasn't written by her.
Yeah.
We all know that in the profession that it wasn't her. It was one of her staff that had written the story. But then it is the media chief who should take responsibility. That's what leadership comes with. Because I'm sure she's seen this report and she okayed it before it was made public. Once it's made public, the liability would now rest on the head of the institution and the institution itself, and not the poor reporter that wrote the story.
Fine. Paradise TV, let's discuss it. I know you employ so many people, but quite often when you tell people, they will say, Gambia doesn't need any private because the market is small, and so on. What do you say to those people?
I say this is a creative space. We've taken risk. In my case, so many years ago, I established the first media firm, as I know it then. I mean, somebody else could dispute this, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm among, if not the very first people that have ever gone to do this. That was a belief. At the time, it didn't exist, but we believed that we could start something, we could grow with that, and we could also grow the community. So Gambia may be small, but as any other country in the world, if we don't talk about us and our country, our culture, our tradition, our way of life, who else will do this for us? It is our job to celebrate ourselves, to blow our own trumpet, to see a reflection of ourselves in our community and in the things that we do. And there is no better school to do this than the media. So I will, today, tomorrow, I have no regrets in my investments in the media so far, and I would even do more if I need to smallness of the market. We just have to be a creative genius to maneuver around those smallness. Be a big fish in a small pond,
so,
and don't swim a lot. Hopefully.
Coming of this QTV, the Paradise TV, and we are seeing the Star TVs also on the off, and also put GRTs on their toes.
It will, but really, personally, I don't see any television that will worry me in Gambia. Me.
Really?
No. Really?
Yeah.
Who?
For
GRTS and QTV will make me lose my sleep at night. For what?
So okay. But
they have not done half of the things that I'm capable of doing, half of the things that I can do, half of the products that I can bring.
Yeah,
this is a virgin area. No, if you ask me, I will say it. Like I can blow my trumpet.
Okay, blow your trumpet. Yeah, let's hear.
Yes.
But now, you people, we have seen the QTV, we have seen the Paradise TV, and like I said, Star TV is also coming.
Yeah. And the Ahmadiyya, don't forget that.
So, but this is a country where people have shifted to other countries. You walk into any nearly 5 compounds, 2 or 3 will be watching Senegalese TV. Some will be, switching.
This is why I said there's no TV that's competing me.
Okay, so now like the Joy Primes and others. So what should you and other media chiefs do to make sure that people go back to where nobody said they shouldn't watch, but to have love for what we have in our own
It's content. Watching television is not a subscription game.
No.
People have a remote control. They have 50 channels at their disposal. Why would they watch you if you're not interesting? People gravitate towards media that will provide them a certain level of interest, a certain level of engagement. If they don't find it, they'll go to alternative sources. You cannot blame people for watching TFM or for watching Joy Prime.
Yes.
Joy Prime tend to cater to their needs, and so does the TFM. Now, if a Gambian media needs to be serious and be taken seriously, we know the Gambian audience more than Joy Prime. In fact, Joy Prime doesn't care about the Gambian audience.
Right.
They are catering to the Ghanaian audience. By default, Gambians tend to like it. TFM doesn't care about the Gambian audience. They are catering to the Senegalese audience. And the Gambians are going to look for what people are catering for the Senegalese audience. So if Gambian media needs to be taken seriously, they have to cater to their audience. And they know their audience more than any other medium that is outside of the Gambia. So let's start to be serious, provide quality, relevant programming, and Gambians will watch us.
Another complaint among many, there will be like corporations should not have media. Should. What is your take on that?
What is a corporation?
Well, I don't want to ruffle any feathers here.
If you don't ruffle feathers, I cannot be honest.
Okay, you cannot be honest. Like a company, for example, Paradise is...
Make a real life example.
Well, okay.
Or let's dodge it if you are not comfortable.
It's not about comfortable. I don't For example, people who say...
For example, should Africell have a television...
radio station or television or...
I think that's absolutely wrong.
Right.
And I'm not going to hide my feeling about that. Sure. I think it's absolutely wrong that Africell should have a radio station or have a television station. I think it's absolutely a disservice to us in the media who are making our daily bread out of media and engaging in media. I think Africell is a very formidable GSM company, and I think they should focus on what their core business is, and that's providing GSM telephony services to Gambians and to the rest of the world. And I can see you're uncomfortable because they're your sponsor, and therefore we can skip it. But if you ask me, I will be honest to speak my mind.
Right.
So don't ask me if you're uncomfortable.
Speak your mind. This is a free platform.
Exactly. So I absolutely 100% against Africell owning radio or TV. I think it's not their business to own it. I think it is our business to own it, and it's their business to patronize us, should they choose to. They also have the liberty not to patronize us. But I think it's absolutely wrong for them to own a radio or television station. And so I think of QCell and any other big GSM or bank in the country. Media is not their business, it's our business. Let us handle our business like we let them handle their GSM business.
As they handle.
Yes.
Well, this reminds me of the kind of a scuffle where Imam Fatu and others were like, Ahmadiyya should also have a radio and so. But
no, that is different.
Okay, I understand.
But it's different.
It's a different thing. But what do you make of that one? Because they are also coming with their television. So, but they'll be like, these people are challenging that one because they said it's going to pollute the minds of other people.
Listen, I think the information space should not be controlled. If the Ahmadiyyas want to have 3, 4, 5 television stations, let them have it. If the Supreme Islamic Council wants to counter them, let them also have 3, 4 stations. Let the Gambia benefit more by learning about all of these sects and religions and things, and let the Gambian be at liberty to decide where they want to belong. That's a choice. Now, whether the Ahmadiyya have a TV or not, you talked about TFM, you talked about Joy Prime. If they wanted to listen to Baola TV in Pakistan, what is stopping them? The satellite is there, they would have accessed it. I mean, information space must be free, must be liberalized. Let anybody, everybody speak their mind.
Well, I think we have spent too much time. Should we continue?
You can send me out of your studio anytime.
Well, I will not send you out of the studio anytime. So I think I'm here with the Chief Executive Officer of Paradise TV, Paradise FM, and Mediamatic Haruna Zame. You have been in this business for a very long time now.
Not so long. You say like I'm an old man.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just 17, man. What's wrong with you?
How can you be 17? Come on, I'm 17. What should we expect from Paradise in 2 years to come? Paradise TV. Because some people say we cannot achieve anything. So what should we expect from the Paradise TV come 2020? Let's put it that way.
I think, let me first start from a long way. When we were young, we had only Radio Seed.
Right.
We listened to Radio Seed. I listened to the Joe Barris. I listened to the Pap Sands on radio. I listened to the Dadas on radio. I listened to the Ndesi Nabus on radio. This country has come so far that today we don't have a single MW station here apart from GRTS. But we have almost 30 radio stations across the length and breadth of this country. What we can do in the media landscape is a lot. In 2 years, I envision having multiple television stations. I envision that 80 to 90% of television audience in Gambia watch actually content developed in Gambia by Gambians, for Gambians. I see the media can only get bigger, can only get better, and we're going to go from greater height to even greater height.
What are the main challenges you are facing? Because you run in a different sector. You have the television, you have the radio, and I can see you are also streaming online. What are the main challenges of the media? Let's not talk about the loss now. We discussed that one now.
The major challenges is to have enough professionals, especially in the television space. Because like I said in the beginning, a lot of our young people would not see this as a lucrative profession. So we don't have enough hands on deck. So this is why it's going to be very interesting to see how Star TV is going to open and how the Ahmadiyya TV is going to open and the future televisions, because who are you going to hire? We're going to cannibalize each other's staff, and GRTS is going to continue to suffer, and I am going to continue to suffer, and even the Fatu network may suffer to the new TV stations that are going to be emerging, because we just don't have enough young people with the required skills and talent to fuel this industry.
We don't have the required skills and talent, but when you opened the Paradise newly, there were so many people who were operating other way around, but they came and said, no, why did you decide to go for a new one instead of those who have that little experience?
No, some of them, for example, people keep asking me this, why are you not hiring from GRTS? Yes. I want to bring a new breed of people. People we can mold to our house style, to our standards, to what we want. Even if it means it takes a process and it's going to take 3 months or 6 months or even 1 year to get some of them to come to the level where you want them. But then it is not my business to close down GRTS. It is also not my business to take people from GRTS who are going to come with perhaps not so desirable attitudes and very poor work ethics and come and pollute my entire environment. So either way you look at it, I am happy to bring a new set of people, a new breed of people, and it's even refreshing for the television audience. They want to watch new people, new talent, and discover that these young people do actually exist in the country.
How soon will we see Paradise TV in our conventional Samsung and other televisions, not online?
I will prefer people watching me from LG television, but yes.
Somebody like who doesn't even have LG in his house.
I think we have a couple of problems. One of the problems is the government itself and its lack of readiness for digital terrestrial television that they had promised us that is not ready yet. And the second thing is, how do we as individual television stations also have capability to transmit into the individual homes? So we're in high negotiations with the government to look at other possibilities, because the license that we have is to deliver content. Transmission wasn't part of it. So we are negotiating to be able to do this. So I would want to say it's a matter of days and weeks before we, not months.
Okay, delivering content, this has to do with the internet. But you talked almost, you like, it's too expensive and we don't even have a good internet in this country. Should that also be looked into in order so that those you are in your car, wherever you are, you can have access to PTV, QTV, GRPs, and any other things?
I think social media is the future of all media. So us in traditional media will have to embrace social media somewhat, somehow. I think internet is not a major problem in the Gambia in terms of access to internet. I think the penetration levels are great. I think it's the cost that is the major problem now. It's very expensive, especially with mobile data, that people are moving around and they want to browse using their SIM and data from their mobile service providers. I think that's very expensive. If we come to a point where it's reasonable or bundles are affordable and